In recent years, the new end date, our meeting with destiny itself, has been moved to December 21st, 2012. Over the past 5,000 years, civilizations were born and civilizations were destroyed. On the other side of the world were a people who held a calendar that had cycles that were 5 millennia long and that knew astronomical knowledge we have only recently been able to confirm as scientifically real. So on December 21st, 2012, in the region where the sun is aligning with the heart of the Milky Way, known as the Galactic Center, we will encounter a feature known as the Dark Rift. In the Mayan Creation Mythology, this is called the Desibal-Bae, the road to the underworld. At the end of the 20th century, many predicted the advent of doom, or the return of Christ. The 16th century French prophet Nostradamus had spoken of the solar eclipse of August 11th, 1999. Could this astronomical phenomena be a sign? Could it be the end of an era? It soon became clear that September 11th, 2001 has changed our world much more than August 11th, 1999. But in recent years, the new end date, our meeting with destiny itself, has been moved to December 21st, 2012. What events are predicted to occur during this time? Climate change, unprecedented hurricanes, and the most violent earthquakes ever experienced dominate the news regularly. With so many false alarms, is time finally running out? Though climate change might be man-made, hurricanes and definitely earthquakes are clearly out of our hands. So what is causing this? Some look towards the sun. Some scientists even hold the sun responsible for the climate change, noting that the global warming is not just happening on this planet, but all throughout the solar system. Unlike 1999, December 21st, 2012 is indeed the end of something. The long count calendar, a calendar system used by the Mayan civilization of Central America. On that day, the 13th Baktun cycle will be completed. Some Mayan and other Mesoamerican groups, such as the Aztecs, say we live in the 5th age. The next age, to be born in 2012, will be therefore that of the 6th sun. Our age started on August 11th, 3114 BC. But as it is known, that time did not mark the beginning of the world. Why should we consider 2012 to be the end of the world? Or is it the birth of a new world? The King Wen sequence is an early arrangement of the 64 hexagrams that comprise the I Ching. The hexagrams are 6-line structures that combine yin, represented by broken lines, and yang, represented by the solid lines. There are 6 times 64 lines in the whole sequence, which may have once been used as an early lunar calendar, since there are 384 days in 13 lunar months. McKenna believed that the King Wen sequence had been specifically ordered in this sequence for a reason. For example, in each pair of hexagrams, The second is either the opposite of the previous one, where all lines are reversed, or it is an inversion of the previous one. Also, when McKenna counted the amount of lines that changed from each hexagram to the next, the number was never 5. The number sequence was produced by analyzing the number of these line changes, then graphing them, and combining a forward with a backward running graph that was then combined, analyzed, converted, and then reanalyzed at 3 levels and recombined to produce a set of 384 numbers. The wave showed all the change or novelty in the universe, from the beginning of time to the end of time. Unlike a normal graph, the wave goes down rather than up. Since novelty theory presumes there is a maximum novelty value, this is represented by the baseline of the graph. The line goes up towards habit, events that have already occurred, and down towards novelty, events that have not happened before. The graph hits the baseline and signifies a maximum novelty state only twice, at the start and end of the graph, or the beginning and end of time. Maximum novelty value is therefore 0, which is why the original time wave was called time wave 0. If true, then one conclusion could be that so many new things happen one after the other at such rapid intervals until this one point in time when the system is no longer able to cope. It's what many scholars have termed a paradigm shift, but which McKenna saw as a singularity. Peter Russell realized that there are 10,000 million, or 10 to the power of 10 atoms in a neuron, and the same number of neurons in the human cortex of the brain. We are now at a population level of well over 10 to the power of 9, approaching the critical number to 10 to the 10, coming much sooner than D. Chardin predicted. Russell thinks this is the omega point. Could we soon be seeing this shift, where individual units link and become functioning parts of a larger organ, the global brain? Russell's analysis of history is depicted as a spiral centered on a paradox. Theoretically, a spiral goes on forever, yet converges on a point or single moment. Russell calls this process of acceleration compression, comparing it to the evolution of a star that compresses until it becomes a singularity or black hole. The center of the spiral is called the white hole in time, and having later realized the common points with McKenna's time wave, Russell located the singularity in 2012. As futuristic as it may be, psychologist Julian Jaynes wrote about such an idea in his 1976 book, The Origin of Consciousness in the Breakdown of the Bicameral Mind. He made the case that what he labeled the bicameral mentality was the normal state of the human mind worldwide as recently as 3,000 years ago. In short, he claimed that our brain once functioned totally differently. He argued that once one part of the brain appeared to be speaking, and a second part of the brain listens and obeys. The stored-up experience of the right hemisphere was transmitted to the left hemisphere via auditory hallucinations. One might say our inner voice is a type of leftover of this old brain wiring. Jaynes argued that this old mental model was replaced by the conscious mode of thought, which he argues is based on metaphorical language. To measure a long count date, there was a position for recording the number of days, up to 19. Then if there were 20 or more, multiples of 20 were recorded in the adjacent position. This is similar to our decimal system, except that it is 20 based, or vegesimal. The 20-day cycle is called a yunal. 18 yunals make a tune of 360 days. 20 tunes make a kot tune. 20 kot tunes make a bak tune, and 13 bak tunes make up the era from 3114 BC to 2012. A total of 1,872,000 days, or around 5,125 years. However, even longer cycles were used. For example, 20 bak tunes is a pik tune. 20 pik tunes is a kalib tune. 20 kalib tunes is a chinchil tune, and 20 chinchil tunes is an alu tune, or 65 million tunes, roughly 64 million years. The long count date of the start point in 3114 BC is written as the completion of 13 bak tunes, with 0 kot tunes, 0 tunes, 0 yunals, 0 days. On the winter solstice of 2012, the same date is repeated for the first time in a span of 5,125 solar years. So it's a fact that after 5,125 years, the 13 bak tune cycle of the Mayan calendar ends. The question is, will a new cycle begin? Just as our clocks keep ticking every year on the 1st of January, or whether something else entirely will happen. In the Chilam Balam of Kumail, it says that in Khatun 4 Ahau, which is in the Khatun from April 1993 to December 2012, the feathered serpent god Kukulkan will return. This god originated with the Toltecs as Quetzalcoatl, and it is now known that the original Quetzalcoatl religion was based on raising a serpent-like energy up the spine, the very same concept as the Hindu concept of Kundalini. In the Aztec myth, Quetzalcoatl sacrificed himself, spending 8 days in the underworld, and reappeared as Venus. He is expected to return between Venus transits, and we are now between the Venus transit of June 2004 and the next one in June 2012. By the early 1990s, Jenkins and McKenna became more and more convinced that the end date of the Mayan 13 bak tune cycle was linked with the conjunction of the Sun with the intersection of the ecliptic and the plane of the Milky Way. Such an alignment is a major astronomical event. One can only stand in admiration that the Maya were aware of this, centuries before science was able to confirm this fact. And what to make of the coincidence of our physicists' discovery of a black hole at the center of our galaxy and the Mayan belief in a great black hole in the very same spot? McKenna used this symbolism when he wrote, "Over millennia, the Maya observed the drama of the approach of Father Sun toward the vagina of Mother Sky. And though the cosmic event itself was calculated to occur many centuries in the future, the Maya made the future conjunction the anchor point of their machinery of cosmic timekeeping. Their myth chose our time as the quintessential moment of creation." A year before his own death, McKenna wrote how the world was perhaps not meant to end, but was to be born on December 21, 2012. This coincides with John Major Jenkins' conclusion that the ancient Maya understood something about the nature of the cosmos and the spiritual evolution of humanity that has gone unrecognized in our own worldview. This understanding involves our alignment with the center of our galaxy, our cosmic center and source, and identifies 2012 AD as a time of tremendous transformation and opportunity for spiritual growth, a transition from one world age to another. So on December 21st, 2012, in the region where the Sun is aligning with the heart of the Milky Way, known as the Galactic Center, we will encounter a feature known as the Dark Rift. This is known to be interstellar dust. In the Mayan Creation Mythology, this is called the Desibal-Bae, the road to the underworld. Twyla Nitch, a Seneca elder of the Wolf clan, inherited the teachings of her grandfather, who died in 1925. She says her grandfather foresaw a 25-year period of purification leading up to the year 2012, when the earth will purge itself. This corresponds to Hopi prophecy that the earth will go through a great purification at the start of the fifth world. Speaking Wind, a Pueblo Native American from northern New Mexico, adds that there will be a 12-year purification leading up to the year 2012. That date is recorded in his tribe's star calendars. Between the 17th and 20th of January 2005, a giant sunspot the size of Jupiter spat out 5 giant solar flares. The third storm shot several billion tons of protons that traveled from the Sun to the Earth in about a half an hour, much faster than the usual 2 days it normally takes for these protons to travel that distance. Incredibly, the protons were traveling at a quarter of the speed of light. Science does not have an explanation as to why. Ohio State University glaciologist Lonnie Thompson is the scientist upon which the character played by Dennis Quaid in The Day After Tomorrow is based. Thompson has assembled a mass of evidence that suggests that 5,200 years ago, the Earth experienced a climate catastrophe. He concludes that a sharp drop, then a surge in solar activity, transformed the Sahara from a greenbelt to a desert and shrank the ice caps at the poles. Though normally the Earth's magnetic field shields us from the worst impacts, scientists have observed that our magnetic field in recent years is weaker than usual. Again, they do not have any real answers as to why this would be the case. Perhaps it is merely the outcome of the continuing battering it has sustained from the solar flares. Whatever the answer may be, the fact is that if the magnetic field is extremely low and the solar flares extremely violent, as they are expected to be in 2012, a climate catastrophe is inevitable. The Maya considered the great rift that was visible in the night sky to be the Desibal-Bae, the road to the underworld, the place of the 9 gods. The Maya also considered the Milky Way to be the Great Mother, a very powerful Jungian archetype, and also saw the Dark Rift as her birth canal. Her womb, where new life was created, was therefore the Galactic Center, to which the Earth will once again align on December 21st, 2012. It is clear that the Maya believed that this would be a moment in time when the Earth, the child, connected once again with the womb of its mother. Only recently have scientists been able to confirm at the center of our Milky Way there is indeed a supermassive black hole. To achieve this, they tracked the orbits of 28 stars in the Milky Way's central region over a period of 16 years. According to Reinhard Genzel of the Max Planck Institute for Extraterrestrial Physics in Germany, who led the international study team, the center of our galaxy is a unique laboratory where we can study the fundamental processes of strong gravity, stellar dynamics, and star formation. It was only in the 17th century that Europe cast away its false belief that the Earth formed the center of the universe. Science showed that we were part of a solar system. Today we know that our solar system is part of a galaxy, and that this galaxy is but one of millions of such galaxies floating in space. Science is quiet about whether our solar system could be part of a larger system, even though that is precisely what certain legends say, and which might explain some of the longer calendars the Mayans and other ancient civilizations used. This concept is similar to the idea of the Maya, who saw an alignment of the Earth with the Sun towards the Galactic Center as a connection between our solar system and its mother, the Galactic Center, a stellar nursery that sits at the center of our galaxy. The Maya described it as a cosmic womb. Modern science sees it as a unique laboratory where stars are born. We measure precession by the slow movement of the constellation behind the spring equinox sun every year. That is why we call it the precession of the equinoxes. The spring equinox has been in Pisces for the last 2,000 years and is now coming into Aquarius. The Maya measured precession by the slow approach of the winter solstice sun to the galactic equator, the galactic alignment. This age transition doctrine was encoded into the legends of various cultures around the world, such as the myths of Mithras, in which Mithras sacrifices a bull to save humanity from sin. This represents the transition from the age of Taurus to the age of Aries in approximately 2000 BC. Amazingly, Mithras was born in a cave on December 25th by a virgin mother and was depicted surrounded by the 12 signs of the zodiac. He represents the sun, and December 25th was once the winter solstice, when the sun dies and is reborn after a 3-day standstill. Mithras waits in heaven for the end of time, when he will return to earth and awaken the dead and pass judgment. With the 2012 phenomenon, we have truly come to appreciate the Mayan culture, as well as learn that while Europe believed the Earth was flat and the center of the universe, it was all created in 4004 BC. On the other side of the world, were a people who held a calendar that had cycles that were 5 millennia long and that knew astronomical knowledge we have only recently been able to confirm as scientifically real. If anything, in 2012, perhaps the Western imperialistic mindset will finally be able to acknowledge that, in the aftermath of 2012, it can accept that ancient civilizations knew far more about astronomy and perhaps even how the universe really works than what science is only now slowly discovering. 2012 is meant to be a milestone, the end of an age. Within this context, we are at a point where we can shift from the descending phase of the cycle to the ascending phase. At the start of a new age, the sixth sun, the Mayan Creation Mythology states that a new vision quest is required. Let's look at the big picture. For the world has become one global village, and we all need to adapt and learn to live with this new reality. Over the past 5,000 years, civilizations were born and civilizations were destroyed. The ancient Maya themselves never experienced the end of the 13 Baktun cycle themselves, but they planted a seed, which is now growing, and come 2012 might very well blossom into a flower. The world has become one, for better or for worse. We have come a tremendously long way, but if we ever want to reach the center of our galaxy and learn about the cradle of life, we have an even longer voyage ahead of us. Our age started on August 11th, 3114 BC. But as it is known, that time did not mark the beginning of the world. Why should we consider 2012 to be the end of the world?